forwarding a year from today, and you are going to look in your own life at this question. What does extraordinary success look like for you? This conversation today is about throwing your hat over the wall for every area of your life that's important. I'm going to be sharing a simple 3-step model that can literally change the trajectory of your life. You're going to leave with insights and a tool that is practical and immediately actionable. What would be an unpredictable outcome a year from today that would be worth playing for? Let me say what we mean by unpredictable. You could fail. You don't know how to do it, or you don't know the full plan. Or it's going to require people and factors outside of your control.
Yes, of course I have to hit aggressive sales goals every year, but that's not enough to motivate me or motivate these people. People want to grow, people want to learn, people want to contribute, people want to feel part of something.
You have to think about your news story as a new lens to look through. Viewing the same people, viewing the same circumstances, assuming they're not going to change, you are. I'm sure you're setting business goals on an annual or quarterly basis. What about who you're being? What about how you show up? What are you known for as a leader if you're in management? What are you known for as a colleague? And imagine if you were bringing the same level of rigor and discipline to your personal life as you were to your business life. It will compel you to find a way, get support, galvanize people, and have this be your year. Make this your year. Thank you. Do this, and it was a privilege. 12 years ago, I was living in Long Island, where I live, with my husband, Sean, who's a police chief, and we had 3 young children. And I had a big job at a media company. And I registered for a leadership program because I was feeling like I needed to ignite myself. And the pre-work for the leadership program was to write your eulogy. So they told us to interview people at work, interview people at home, interview our friends, and it was a life-changing and extremely disturbing experience. The reason for that is that I had to own up to, I was known for being really busy. And the reason I was known for being really busy is that I walked about 100 miles an hour through the hallway at work. If I asked someone how they were, I didn't stop and kept moving. And if someone asked me, Lisa, how are you? I would say in an extremely intense, high-strung way, I'm really busy. And for some of those lucky people, and this is embarrassing to admit, I would actually tell them everything I was really busy with as if it was remotely interesting to anyone except my sister, maybe my sister. So here I am in this seminar, and I'm thinking, like, this is not okay. I cannot have this as my tombstone. And I took time, and I wrote my eulogy. And as you know, with the eulogy, it's already happened. So I literally imagined my children at my funeral getting up and saying, my mother was present, connected. She was the glue of our family. She took care of us. She was our greatest fan and a meaningful coach. As a wife, she was present, she was loving, she was connected. As a friend, she was amazing, always there. And in the workplace, she made a difference. She led change, and she took a stand for helping people have cultures where their whole lives are ignited, where you can produce extraordinary results at work and in anything you're committed to. That was the easy part. The hard part was sharing it. So I went home, I shared it with my family. My husband, who loves me, said, we'll see. And then, and my kids were very young at that time. And I shared it with my team at work. And the reason I shared it with my team at work and with my family is because I knew that this would require radical change in behavior. So I needed to come out and tell people so that they would hold me accountable and let me know when I was not being that. Now, who can relate to what I'm saying, by the way? Who's running around saying you're busy, tired, stressed? Stop doing that. So I go back into my real life and I just practiced. All I did was practice. I was intentional and I practiced being the person that was in my eulogy, and I am still practicing. Some days go better than others, but I'm living that life, that future that I'm committed to, so that, you know, my kids actually say that at my funeral. And today, I'm proud to share that when people say, Lisa, how are you? I say, I'm overly fulfilled. Fast forward, feel free to use that. Fast forward, I'm 45 years old, and I'm at a crossroads in my career. I am leaving the media company that I'm at, and I can either go to another big media company and run a team, huge opportunity, or I can pursue my dream to create a company that helps other leaders experience what I did and get conscious of how they show up and how they lead and how they coach, and creating a culture where people can win and succeed in all areas of their life. And with a ton of excitement, but more fear, I chose the dream. I reached out to my childhood friend, Wendy Letchgold, who's here with me in the audience, and we met in camp. And she has other qualifications, but I reached out to her and I said, Wendy, I know if I do this myself, it'll be done in 90 days because I need energy, I need people, I need discipline. And together, we wrote down a vision for the Fast Forward Group. And we wrote it as if it had already happened. I mean, it was vivid, it was specific, it was, this is our mission, this is the impact we're having, these are our clients, this is what they're saying, this is how it feels coming to work every day. And we had no idea how to do it. But we wrote it down, we believed it, we could see it, and we started sharing it with people. And guess what? People got excited. Jackie Kelly from Bloomberg said, I'm gonna give you my conference room and you can beta, fast forward with all your industry friends and we'll give you feedback. Carolyn Everson from Facebook said, we're gonna be your first client. And she subsequently scaled it to her entire organization of 3,000 people and now is bringing it to her clients. And then we have a ton of makers companies, just a big shout out to all the makers companies that are investing in people and culture, men and women, because we all want the same thing. We all want the same kind of life. So now, I'm gonna share a piece of our work so that you leave here in action, that you leave here with an actionable way to apply all this inspiration to your life. Everybody ready? Because this is gonna be interactive. The reason that we use the word declare is that often when people are trying to drive change in their companies, they use words like hope, they use words like try. And when you declare a bold vision, you're actually committing to something. You're committing to something. So in this case today, we're going to focus on being an ally and having a culture where everyone feels like they belong and can bring their authentic selves to work. So if you were to declare that in your organization, you might be saying to yourself, well, right now, that is so far from the truth. Like, it just doesn't feel like that at my company. But when you declare, you put out a commitment and you are willing to be uncomfortable, embracing the fear. And that's how we've watched leader after leader, manager after manager, and many of them were not managers, take a stand for having a culture where people feel appreciated, respected, and supported to live their full life. There's an expression, throw your hat over the wall so you have no choice but to follow it. There's an Irish writer by the name of Frank O'Connor, and he tells a story when he was a young boy. Whenever they would go out hiking, if they got to a wall that they didn't know how to scale, one of the boys would take their hat off their head and throw it over the wall. So they had no choice but to go follow it. This is a powerful metaphor for your work and, in fact, your whole life. Because there's been times you've all done this. You've said, you've made a commitment, whether that was getting into university, getting a job, getting a promotion, taking a stand at your company, even in your personal life, getting married, having a baby. There's been times when you've declared outcomes, like this is happening, before you knew how to achieve it. There's also been times when you've gotten to walls and you've said it's just too hard. And your own cynicism and resignation and the current circumstances get in the way. And we just say, it's not possible, let's find another path. It is the way it is. And the reason why this is important is that people's actions are always correlated to the future you see as possible. So if you believe something's possible, if you believe it's possible to have your culture be different, if you believe it's possible for you to make a difference at your company, you will then take actions and figure it out and have the hard conversations and be the change, be part of the change that you want to see. I want to hone in on unpredictable outcomes, okay? What I mean by that is that most of the time human beings, and particularly in corporate America, we are setting predictable goals. We say things like, what do we need to do? And I hope, it gets better, or I wish it looked different, or we should try X. And everything is playing it safe because people don't want to play big in case we fail. Human beings don't like to fail. So today I want to help you focus on what would be an unpredictable outcome a year from today that would be worth playing for. Okay, and this is how we're defining unpredictable. You don't know how to achieve it. You could fail, or you have failed in the past. Like we've said this before. It involves factors and people outside of your control, or it requires radical change. Okay, so this is where I want you to focus. We're not focusing on fantasy outcomes, which is up here. We're not focusing on predictable outcome. We're in the middle, which is unpredictable outcomes, but they're possible. We as human beings do this all the time. Something happens, someone says something, someone looks at us in a particular way, and we make up a whole story and add drama and add significance. Okay, this is part of being human. So today, we're going to share what to do about this. We collect evidence for our stories so that they become more true. These are some of the common stories that we hear in our travels. My manager, he doesn't appreciate me. Moving up requires too much sacrifice. It's just better to stay where I am. I know what I'm doing, not going there. I should be further along in my career. I should have gotten my MBA. It's really hard to be a working mother. I shouldn't have moved to this neighborhood. I should have done my research. I'm not like any of these other women. It's never good enough for my mother. She's so critical. Nothing I do is right. I'm never gonna meet someone. I'm just gonna be alone. Raise your hand if you can relate to one or more of these stories. Just a hunch. You're probably wondering, when am I getting to the good news? Like, why is this the opening act? Okay? So I'm now gonna give you the good news. You have the power to choose a new story. I'm gonna give you the model, and then I'm gonna share several examples of how I've used it in my career and my life, so that you leave here today motivated, equipped, and in action to apply it to your own life. So let me begin with my first example. When I was in my 30s, I was running a large sales organization at a media company. And I was really happy. I loved my team. We had exceeded our goals. And I could see myself there for at least 3 to 5 years. I loved my colleagues, and I really respected my manager. He was smart, he appreciated my leadership style, and he was very hands-off. One day, I was called into HR and informed that my manager was leaving the next week. And there was going to be a reorg, and I was reporting to someone that I did not like, did not respect, and definitely didn't like or respect me. So I went home that night, shocked, disappointed. Frankly, I was angry that no one had consulted me. And I just ranted to my husband, Sean. I said, this is never going to work. This is a big mistake. And I can't believe they didn't speak to me. And I don't like him, and he doesn't like assertive women. And this is just going to be a train wreck. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but like, this is a disaster. And for everyone here, I just want you to be happy I'm giving you the short version. So this is the new manager, and my story about him was this is never going to work. I should not be reporting to him. Well, I ranted to Sean, and then I went into work the next day, and in a senior leadership role, I acted as if everything was fine. But meanwhile, in my head, things were not fine. I was stewing, and I was busy collecting evidence for all the things he did that didn't work, and why I should not be reporting to him. And I had this one friend at work, and I would text her every day and share, well, then he did this, and then he said this. And she would agree with me, of course, and express sympathy. So about a month into this, I was really suffering, okay? I felt trapped. I felt demotivated. So step number 2 in our model is, what's the cost of believing this story? Like, I was right/righteous about my manager, but I was the one that was suffering. This started impacting my sleep, my job satisfaction, and I actually started feeling anxiety about the future. So Sean said to me, Lisa, it's fine. You should look for another job. Are you going to do that? And I said, I don't want to look for another job. I love my job. I like my team. I like my clients. I'm making incredible money. I have a great, career trajectory. I don't want to look for another job. Well, he then followed up with a practical question and said, am I going to have to listen to this every night? He had a good point. So at this point, sometimes it's very hard to do this by yourself because you get very attached to your story. Who can relate to what I'm saying? So I reached out, it's like the lifeline, okay? I reached out to my friend Wendy, who now is my Fast Forward business partner, and I said, Wendy, I need help. I'm suffering, it's impacting my sleep. I want to stay at the company, help. She said, Lisa, you have 2 choices. You can continue collecting evidence for your story and getting to be right, or you can choose another story and be happy. I said, I'll choose happy. So we brainstormed many different alternatives, and what I came up with was I can learn from every manager. Now, this felt fake at first because I had spent a good amount of time complaining. But literally, you have to think about your new story as a new lens to look through, viewing the same people, viewing the same circumstances, assuming they're not going to change, you are. And looking through this new lens and saying this new story, I then took actions I would not have taken. I sought out his counsel on several challenges I was facing, and he was helpful. I set up breakfast with him to get to know him as a human being. And he wasn't so bad after all. I then made a recommendation to him about how he could improve his team meeting so that it would be more impactful, and he listened. So weeks later, I felt this sense of relief. My job satisfaction had returned, and I went on to work with him for 3 years, and I did learn a lot from him. We had a productive working relationship, and most importantly, I did not suffer. I want you today to think about relationships that you have at work that you'd love to improve. What if they're not changing? What if the possibility is for you to take on this model and for you to look through a new lens at those same people? In closing, what I want to share with you is that you get one life. This is not a dress rehearsal. We don't know what happens after our time is up. You get one life. So have this be the year. Have this be the year that you set intentions and you made them happen. Have this be the year that you defined what extraordinary success looked like in all areas of your life. Every job has enormous pressure. So if you're going to deal with the pressure, let's move up. Let's make more money. Let's make a bigger contribution. Who's with me? Raise your voice. And if you have an area of your life or your company and you're thinking to yourself, this is so not right, somebody needs to do something, be that somebody. Like, be the change, make the difference, set an intention, write it in your vision, share it out loud. You will figure it out. It will compel you to find a way, get support, galvanize people, and have this be your year. Make this your year. Thank you. Do this, and it was a privilege.